Ibrox, he does the match games in his own Clyde as well. And he was very cute the way he was defending. Oh, you've got to give Graham Wallace a chance, and he's got to do this and he's got to do that. Now, hand on heart with that guy, he's just looking after himself. Right, which is understandable, that's no problem, but if that guy if he had any credence or respect for, the organisations and teams that have played at Ibrox over the years, no matter what sort of form they're in, he'd sort of say, this is a shambles, I'm here, and he'd go and play, and then he'd get an army. But, he's just...
Oh, you're cracking up, hold on, bro. Right, on you go, see how it goes.
How's that?
No, bro. Stay there, I'll phone you back. Right. Hold on.
How's that?
You're lucky I'm no trigger happy like Craig Thompson, mate. You'd be red carded before now with that line, but you're alright, on you go.
No, I was just saying that you see these guys and they've backed every Zoomer that's went into that ground, isn't it? And if you think back to take back to Celtic, you think of like Celtic for change, and the way that the team, the players will like basically come out and say, we understand it, we'll go to like back the support here and get into this regime and save the club. And players took a big chance. It's not like the guys knew who are on 20 grand a week and guaranteed a move. This was pre-Bosman sort of thing. If these guys, if the old board had succeeded, these guys would have been put into limbo, mate. Put on a basic wage. Probably they were on X amount extra for playing for Celtic. So that's going to be commended the way the. Everybody involved in it, they're all Fergus. You can think of Fergus what you want. He did what he did and went in there, but, the working class guys and women, and I shouldn't even use the word working class, the Celtic fans who get towed in and met up in halls and all that, and they did it through phone lines or fanzines and whatever, mate, and achieved what they did. And then obviously Fergus came in and did what he did with his expertise. But I found it was quite ironic. Supposedly the Celtic View had a 6-page special, and it was just about all businessman Fergus McClan served it to mirror the word business to what's going on there the now, mate. But it was a lot's happened in 20 years, mate.
A lot of the problems stem from the things that he put in place, the people that he employed, people that weren't Celtic minded, and it's continued. And the key thing is to actually start the boys against bigotry. There was no boys that had any bigotry in them, and it allowed this wedge to be developed over a period of time, and the wedge that the Freemasonic state and Sir Stephen House's Freemasonic police can just jam right in between us, conquer and divide. We've been conquered because we've been divided.
I think also, Tommy, as we're going back to the old Celtic main stand was where people who'd done all right for themselves, or ex-players or whatever, sat, and the rest of the state was a free-for-all. And they did what you wanted within reason, and it was self-policed, and fans did what you did, and everybody stood in your own wee bit, and you got on with it. And obviously, when and this isn't just Celtic Park, but when Celtic Park was redeveloped, all the unfortunate events that happened in England and elsewhere, and we went to all-seater stadiums, that sort of changed football as well, mate. I was thinking, going on the days 25 years ago, you could jump a Corty bus, go to the football, pay £2 and get in, and nobody knew who you were. Because nobody carried bank cards in, it was no anonymity, you had no ID. If you didn't drive, if you were underage, you went in there and you had nothing on you at all. You could go to a football game and go home like a ghost. You didn't exist.
Well, I still do that. You talking about that's me.
You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? There's people who, and the policing issues, and there's a lot of noise that's happened in the post probably looked up in the terraces like, the fuck getting in there, We'll be fucking bedlam, and they only went in when they had to. But obviously McCann sort of obviously had seen what had happened with his time in North America with you know, the spectator sports there, and it was all seated, and he probably stood in Celtic Park in the 60s and probably 70s, whatever, went, like, you know, there's got to be a transitional period. So I'd agree, mate. I mean, for me, I'm not clever enough to delve into the depth, and I was away quite a lot, so I didn't see all the campaigns, but, you know, maybe if McCann had had the opportunity when he came in at first to have Twitter and social media the way they've got now, and he could put out the message he wanted to, instead of having 2 or 3 minute snippets via TV and BBC, who we know for up to this modern day, sometimes suits an agenda to twist words, you know.
About being at Celtic, do you know who would be ideal? I mean, maybe not as a manager, right, because we've had them, but you know who would be our ideal? Wouldn't it be a Peter Lawwell role, right? It would have to be a Dermot Desmond, and you're never going to get it, obviously, but just dreaming of it. Or not someone who had the complete control, right? I would take Martin O'Neill. Maybe no Martin O'Neill per se, but the character of Martin O'Neill and the background of Martin O'Neill. Now, see if Dermot Desmond could come here, because see, there's a loophole, right? The owner of a club. I mean, you look at all the shit that fucking Green get away with saying. So owners can say a lot more. I mean, a chief executive is always looking to the owner or the shareholder, but if you just get direct control, then you can come out and shoot for the hip. Or, you know, the other beautiful way Celtic could be done is if it was a fan representative and said, right, we've all picked in, he's now the president, we're voting him in for 4 years. Everybody, one person, one vote, it's no hierarchy. Whoever wants to put their name in the ticket goes for it. We all have a debate, we all vote, boom, he's going to represent us. And then when anybody wants to make a decision, we all get together, we put a vote in, right, this is what we want you to do, go and represent us and say this. And so then I go, or whoever goes, or whatever person goes there and says, right, you go and speak to the SFA, you go and speak to the fucking media, you go and speak to this person and tell them where to fucking go. Tell them that our tunes are no racist and bigoted. Tell them that these bastards have been cheating and we're not taking part in their fucking cheating league till they sort it. Tell them that we're not taking part with a refereeing system where you've got Gollum or Craig Ferguson giving honest mistakes all day long, and stand up for it, because until we have somebody in there doing that, we're just going to get shafted on by a Freemasonic state all over the place. Am I right, or am I off my head here?
No, I mean, there's obviously there's what they'll say probably off the record to folk, and then there's people who'll say on the record, mate. You know, but you think
we need somebody strong like Martin O'Neill. If you put Martin O'Neill in there, he just fucking set the record straight and say, listen, come on, you need somebody with, I mean, God rest him, Paul McBride. I mean, you imagine him as a chief executive.
I mean, God rest him. So we'd be past me. That was him 2 years yesterday. You wouldn't think that, you know.
God, you would you have took him into a shop, wouldn't you? Whatever he was getting as a lawyer, would have said, look, how many days a week do you want to do it? I mean, if he'd been alive, God rest his soul, he would have been a challenge to Peter Lawwell, because if he'd come out, he could have rose and said, you know, hold on a minute, 2 years ago? Oh, poor soul.
But no, I mean, but see, when you go back to McCann, though, right, and this is probably a controversial saying, I mean, probably in your time supporting the club, you know, there's no many people bigger than Tommy Burns, God rest his soul, you know. And obviously McCann got to the position where, you know, Tommy obviously had to move on, unfortunately, you know, for whatever reason. And obviously he was up against, the record will show just the corruption and the cheating he was up against. You know, and he still ran, the man came up to the wire, to the championship, I mean, you know.
Talking about anniversaries, he was 57 just last week. I saw his daughter posting it.
Oof.
He would have been only 57. 6 years this May. God rest him.
No, so as I say, you've got somebody, and for me, the only one of the few, how would you put it? You know, Tommy Burns went just class act his whole time. You know, even when he walked out the door, the manager, and it was great to come back, and you know, he's brilliant. You know, spoke so well and done so much for the community. But for me,
how many people would get sacked and then come back, sack the manager and work in a lesser capacity?
I can't get anyone worked in there for nothing, mate. You know, just you don't get guys like that, do you? You know, it's.
Well, you do, mate. You do, but they don't get employed there anymore apart from John Clark.
Aye, John Clark and Danny McGrain's probably the only two in there I trust, mate. You know, but that's for another day.
Do you reckon that Charlie Mulgrew will ever make it as manager and come back as a player? Do you think Lee Griffiths?
I know suffer enough watched them. Anyway, back to my valid point. For me, the last 2 years, this debacle, whatever you've called it, Ibrox, for me, it's great because it showed up Sir Walter, and it's basically every day another layer of the McCoy Smith has been peeled off it. You know, the rookie manager who's basically in his 50s. You know, he's a young coach, you know, whereas somebody like Paul Hartley's just hung up his boots and get tore into it, and he's learning his trade, and Jackie McNamara's up and running and doing well, mate. You know, it's hysterical, and more fans are seeing these guys being exposed to what they are, mate, you know.
Do you reckon then, if my theory is right, that Lennon, if he is going to walk, he would go the now, and that if he gets past the next season coming up, he's going to relish a crack at going against McCoist with the experience and knowledge that he's got? Do you think?
Did you know that, mate? I think, I don't even know if there'll be any. I mean, there might be boys that support the old Ibrox mob listening in, but honestly, I don't know where it would go or where it would come from, because, you know, I think McCoist is coming out now saying if they go up this year, and I'm saying that no meaning to be flippantly, but if there's administrations and liquidations floating about, but if they go up to the Championship next year, there's a lot of good teams in that league, mate, and there's a lot of teams that are full time. And the players that
struggle next year, right, to even get there.
Well, I mean, if you hear Tommy, I mean, you obviously had Francesco Sandaza on Sunday at CSE, and if Francesco had been staying about $9,000 a week, is that right?
I can't remember. I know it was 4.5, rising up to, I think it was 10.5, so about 7 or 8, probably, yeah. So
he's talking $8,000, right? And obviously you've got John Daly there, and you've got Ian Black, and you've got the boy Dean Shields. So Templeton, you've got all these players there, right? And they're not going to move anywhere because they're getting a good wage, and fair play to them, you know, I wouldn't like if we can move either. So they've got 55 playing staff. Now when they go up next year, there might be a few guys let go and the youth teams let go, but they're not going to be in the position. If Graham Wallace gets his way, he's wanting the squad halved, basically. So that's going to be...
I remember listening just briefly. I mean, listening tonight because of that Brian Dempsey was on, but I remember listening to it just a few weeks ago, and there was one zombie on there, and I listened to him and he dissected it and nailed it in the head. Right, the liabilities, and he kept saying that, the liabilities that are outstanding and the income generated being not as good. The only conclusion that it could be was that it was going to end up as administration, where, and this was a key thing, I can remember how he put it, let me re-quote it, shows that they can be free of their liabilities. That's what he said. He says the only way, because they've signed up to, well, i.e. the players, I mean, he was hitting at the contracts of the players, the size of them, and the poor deals with Puma and other ones because they were hamstrung and ham-fisted just to take anything that was offered. So the only way to relinquish it and basically rip up their contracts, you know, is just to go into administration. And this is fucking shocking, mate, because if they do that, should they, let's put it this way in, should they even be allowed to be promoted? Because then they're gaining a fucking another sporting advantage. They've been able to outspend their opponents by a huge fucking margin, and then get to a point where they've got enough points to beat the disadvantage of the penalisation of 25 points, and then we'll strip half up, like you said there, they've got half their players out the door and half their liabilities. Is that not cheating by another way?
I think there was rumours tonight though that they're looking at doing they're chasing, they're scratching their money because they've not backed the. Or they're looking at an alternative